I found out my girlfriend was cheating on me because she forgot we were still on video call. I wish I was making that up, because even now it sounds too stupid to be real. People always imagine cheating gets exposed through lipstick on a collar, a suspicious text, or some dramatic private investigator moment. In my case, it happened because she smiled at me through her phone, told me she was exhausted, said she was going to shower and go straight to bed, and then set her phone down without ending the call. For a few seconds, I honestly thought nothing of it. We had been together for a little over 3 years, and at that point I trusted her more than anyone. We were doing long distance temporarily because of my job. I had taken a 6-month contract in another state, and the plan was simple. I'd finish the contract, move back, and we'd get a place together. We had already talked about rings. We had already talked about kids. We had names picked out. That's how serious it was. Her name was Melissa, and up until that night, if anyone had asked me who I was going to marry, I would have answered without hesitation. We used to video call almost every night. It became our routine. I'd get back to the apartment I was renting, she'd call me while she was at home, and we'd talk about stupid little things that made the distance easier. What she ate that day. What annoying customer came into her job. What show we were pretending to watch together. Sometimes we fell asleep on the call. It felt intimate in a weird modern way. Not ideal, but enough to make me believe we were still building something. That night started like any other. I had a microwave dinner, a beer, and my laptop open because I was trying to half-finish some paperwork while talking to her. She seemed normal, maybe a little distracted, but nothing that set off alarms. I asked her if she was okay and she laughed and said, "Yeah, just tired. Today was a mess." Then she asked me about work, and I spent 10 minutes complaining about my supervisor. She smiled in all the right places. Nodded. Played the part perfectly. At one point she said she missed me so much it physically hurt. That line hit me hard, because I missed her too. I remember actually smiling like an idiot and thinking, just a few more months, then we never have to do this again. Then she said, "I'm gonna go shower, okay? Don't judge me, I look disgusting." I laughed and told her she looked beautiful. She rolled her eyes, smiled, and picked up the phone. The screen shook as she walked through her apartment. Then she placed it on what looked like her kitchen counter, angled weirdly toward the ceiling. I figured she was about to hang up, but she didn't. I said her name once, then twice. No answer. I was just about to close the laptop and text her goodnight when I heard the apartment door open. I remember freezing, because it was late. Close to midnight. At first I thought maybe it was her roommate coming back. But then I remembered her roommate was out of town visiting family. Melissa had mentioned that 2 days earlier. I sat there staring at the crooked screen, seeing nothing useful except part of the ceiling, the top of a cabinet, and a hanging light fixture. I heard footsteps. A man's voice. Low, casual, familiar. Then I heard her laugh. Not the polite laugh she used with strangers. Not the work laugh. Her real laugh. The kind I thought belonged to me. My whole body went cold. I told myself there had to be an explanation. Cousin. Brother. Neighbor. Anything. Then I heard him say, "You didn't tell him I was coming over, right?" And she said, "Why would I? He thinks I'm going to bed." I don't know how to explain what that felt like. It was like all the air got sucked out of the room, but somehow my chest still felt too tight to breathe. My ears started ringing. I just sat there staring at that useless camera angle while my brain tried to reject what I was hearing. Then I heard kissing. Not maybe kissing. Not ambiguous noise. Kissing. Followed by her saying, in this playful voice I had never heard directed at anyone else, "You're gonna get me in trouble." And he laughed and said, "That's kind of the point." I should have ended the call. That would have been the healthy thing to do. That would have been the self-respecting thing to do. But I couldn't move. I was in complete shock. When people imagine being betrayed, they picture anger first. For me, it was disbelief. Pure disbelief. My mind kept trying to glue together two versions of reality that didn't fit. The woman who cried when I left for work trips. The woman who mailed me handwritten letters. The woman who was now apparently sneaking another man into her apartment while I was still on the line. Then the camera shifted slightly, maybe because somebody bumped the counter, and for 1 second I saw them. Just enough. Melissa, in the oversized shirt she used to sleep in. A guy behind her with his arms around her waist. Her head tilted back against his shoulder. Smiling. I felt nauseous instantly. Like that deep, hot nausea that starts in your stomach and crawls into your throat. I stood up so fast my chair tipped backward. I paced around my apartment with the laptop still open on the couch, like somehow moving would change what I was hearing. It only got worse. He asked if I was the work boyfriend. She laughed again and said, "Stop." He said, "What?" That's basically what he is. And she didn't defend me. She didn't say, "No, he's my boyfriend." She didn't say, "Don't talk about him like that." She didn't say anything. That silence hurt more than all the rest of it. Because in that silence, I heard the truth. I heard exactly how little I mattered in that room. I went back to the laptop and finally said her name. Loudly. Sharp enough to cut through the noise. Everything stopped. For maybe 2 seconds there was total silence. Then I heard scrambling, the sound of the phone being grabbed, and suddenly her face filled the screen. Her expression was pure panic. Not guilt. Not sadness. Panic. Like she had just realized a fire had started behind her. "Wait," she said. "Wait, babe, I can explain." That word, babe, made me angrier than I can describe. I asked, "Explain what?" She opened and closed her mouth a few times, eyes darting somewhere off screen, probably at the guy. Then she said, "It's not what it looks like." I actually laughed. I couldn't help it. It came out ugly and bitter. I said, "You mean the part where you lied to me, brought a guy over, kissed him on camera, and let him call me your work boyfriend? Which part exactly doesn't look how it looks?" She started crying instantly. Like she flipped a switch. She said I was being unfair, that I had only heard part of a conversation, that I didn't understand, that things had been hard with the distance, that she felt lonely, that she was confused. Confused. That word almost broke me. Because I had spent months being loyal to someone who apparently solved confusion by auditioning my replacement in her kitchen. I told her to turn the camera around. She kept saying no. I told her if she didn't turn the camera around, I'd never speak to her again. That got her. Her hand was shaking when she moved the phone, and there he was. Some guy maybe a few years older than me, standing there like he wanted to disappear into the wall. Not embarrassed enough to leave, apparently, but embarrassed enough not to look into the camera. I asked him how long it had been going on. Melissa started yelling, "Don't talk to him." But I wasn't asking her anymore. I was done asking her anything. I was done asking her anything. The moment I saw his face on that screen, something inside me snapped into a strange kind of calm. Not the peaceful kind. The cold kind. The kind where your brain suddenly stops panicking and starts observing everything like it's happening to someone else. The guy looked uncomfortable. Not guilty. Just uncomfortable, like he had accidentally walked into someone else's argument. He rubbed the back of his neck and avoided looking directly at the camera. Melissa was standing next to him, half trying to block the view with her hand. "Don't talk to him," she said again, her voice shaking. But I ignored her. I looked straight at him and asked, "How long?" For a second he didn't answer. He glanced at her. She shook her head quickly, whispering something I couldn't hear. That was answer enough. Still, after a moment, he sighed and said quietly, "A few months." A few months. Those words landed heavier than anything else that night. Because suddenly every memory from the last few months replayed in my head like a broken film reel. The nights she said she was too tired to talk. The time she cancelled our calls because she had early work. The moments when she stopped answering messages for hours. All the little things I had brushed off because I trusted her. And the worst part? Somewhere during those same months I had been looking at engagement rings. I remember staring at the screen and saying, almost to myself, 3 years. Neither of them said anything. 3 years of birthdays, road trips, holidays with her family, helping her move apartments, listening to her cry about work, planning a future. And apparently she replaced me in a few months. Melissa suddenly stepped closer to the phone. "Stop doing this," she said, tears running down her face. "You're twisting everything." I felt that bitter laugh again. "Twisting what exactly?" I asked. "You don't understand how hard the distance has been," she said quickly. You left for months. You're never here. I was lonely. Lonely. That word hit like an insult. Because the entire reason I had taken that contract was to save money so we could move into a better place together. That had been the plan. Our plan. You knew why I left, I said. I know, she cried. But things changed. I didn't mean for it to happen. I looked at the guy again. He finally spoke, awkwardly. Man. I didn't know she had a boyfriend at first. Melissa turned toward him instantly. Why would you say that? He raised his hands defensively. You told me you guys were basically done, he said. You said the long-distance thing was over. That was the moment everything became crystal clear. Not just cheating. Lying. Rewriting the story of our relationship to make herself look single. I leaned back in my chair and just stared at them. For the first time that night, Melissa looked genuinely scared. Listen, she said quickly, wiping her eyes. We can fix this. Okay. Please. Just come home and we'll talk about everything. Come home. Like the last 10 minutes had been a small misunderstanding. Like I had accidentally overheard the wrong conversation. I shook my head slowly. No, I said. Her face crumpled. What do you mean no? I mean I'm not coming back to fix something you broke months ago. She started crying harder. You're just going to throw 3 years away. That sentence made something dark rise in my chest. Because the truth was obvious. I wasn't the one who threw anything away. She did. Right there on that kitchen floor while my laptop was still open. I took a deep breath and said the only thing left to say. Melissa, we're done. For a moment she just stared at me like she didn't understand the words. Then panic replaced the tears. No. No, you're just upset. You don't mean that. But I did. For the first time since the call started, I felt completely certain about something. She wasn't the person I thought she was. And the future I had been planning didn't exist anymore. So I reached for the mouse. And ended the call. The silence after I ended that call felt unreal. For a few minutes I just sat there staring at the black screen of my laptop. My apartment was completely quiet except for the faint hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen. It was strange how normal everything around me looked while my entire life had just collapsed in the span of 10 minutes. 3 years. Gone. I kept replaying the moment when I saw them in my head. Her leaning back into him. Smiling like nothing in the world was wrong. That image burned itself into my brain. About 5 minutes later my phone started vibrating. Melissa. I didn't answer. It rang again. And again. Then the messages started coming in. First it was, please answer. Then, we need to talk. Then, you're overreacting. That last one made me laugh out loud. Overreacting. I watched the messages appear on my screen one after another. Long paragraphs. Voice notes. Missed calls. She was panicking now because she had lost control of the situation. But I still hadn't moved. Not until another message came through. Please don't tell anyone. That one finally snapped me out of the shock. Because suddenly I understood something important. She wasn't afraid of losing me. She was afraid of the consequences. Her parents loved me. Her friends knew me. We had built a life together that was visible to everyone around us. If the truth came out, she would have to explain why her perfect relationship suddenly exploded overnight. And that scared her more than hurting me. I stood up, grabbed my phone, and walked over to the window of my apartment. The street outside was empty, lit by those dim orange streetlights that make everything look lonely. My phone buzzed again. Another call from her. This time I answered. She picked up instantly. Thank God, she said, her voice shaky. Please don't hang up. I didn't say anything. She started talking fast, like someone trying to stop a train before it crashes. It didn't mean anything. I swear. I was lonely and stupid and it just happened. It was a mistake. A mistake. I leaned my head against the cold glass of the window. A mistake happens once, I said quietly. This was months. She started crying again. I love you, she said. You know I love you. That sentence felt almost insulting now. Because love doesn't look like what I saw on that screen. Melissa, I said slowly, do you remember 2 weeks ago when you told me you were falling asleep early because you had work in the morning? She hesitated. Yeah. That was the night I bought the ring. The silence on the other side of the call was immediate. I continued. I was going to propose when I got back. Her breathing suddenly became shaky. Oh my God, please don't say that. But I did. I was building a future with you while you were building excuses. She started sobbing into the phone. I didn't know, she kept repeating. I didn't know. But the truth was simple. It wouldn't have mattered if she knew. Because someone who respected me wouldn't have done what she did in the first place. That was the moment I finally felt something strange. Not anger. Not sadness. Clarity. And once you see the truth clearly, there's no going back. So I told her something she definitely didn't expect. Don't worry, I said calmly. I'm not going to tell people what happened. She immediately sounded relieved. Thank you, thank you. But then I finished the sentence. I'm just going to show them. And the silence that followed was louder than anything she had said that night. The silence on the phone lasted a few seconds after I said that. Then Melissa's voice came back, suddenly nervous. What do you mean, show them? I didn't answer right away. Because the truth was, I had already realized something while she was talking earlier. When she forgot to hang up the video call, the laptop had been recording everything automatically. I sometimes recorded our calls so I could rewatch them when the distance got hard. I had told her that months ago, back when it felt romantic instead of tragic. And tonight, it recorded everything. The door opening. The laughing. The kissing. The conversation about me being the work boyfriend. All of it. I mean exactly what I said, I finally replied. Her breathing got faster. Please don't do that, she whispered. You're going to ruin my life. That sentence told me everything I needed to know. Not you're going to hurt me. Not please don't do this to us. Just her life. I looked down at my laptop sitting on the table. The recording icon was still there in the corner of the screen. 3 years of loyalty ended by 10 minutes of video. You ruined this yourself, I said calmly. She started crying again. I made a mistake. People make mistakes. Not like that, I answered. Then she said something that finally erased the last bit of sympathy I had left. If you send that video to anyone, you're just as bad as I am. I actually smiled. Because that was the moment I realized she still didn't understand what she had done. I wasn't trying to destroy her. I was just done protecting someone who didn't respect me. So I told her the truth. I'm not posting anything online. I'm not sending it everywhere. She sounded slightly relieved again. But then I finished the sentence. I'm just sending it to the people who deserve to know. Her parents. Our mutual friends. The people who kept asking when the wedding would be. The silence on the phone turned into pure panic. Please don't, she begged. I'll do anything. But it was too late for negotiations. Because the relationship had already ended the moment she laughed with that guy while I was still on the call. I loved you, I said quietly. And that was the first honest thing I had said to her all night. Then I ended the call again. A few minutes later, I exported the recording. I didn't add commentary. I didn't write a long explanation. I just sent the video with one short message. I think you all deserve to know why the wedding isn't happening anymore. Within minutes, my phone started exploding with notifications. But for the first time that night, I didn't feel sick. I didn't feel angry. I just felt free. Because sometimes the worst way to discover the truth about someone is also the clearest. And thanks to one forgotten video call, I finally saw exactly who she really was. If this story shocked you, subscribe for real stories about betrayal, secrets, and courtroom karma. And watch the video on your screen. It's just as insane.